I want the man who got me pregnant to come forward and take responsibility for the child. This one is the one of the man who disappeared after he got me pregnant. I want him to come forward and pay me child support.
Hi everyone, it's Ayesha here from God FM, and oh my gosh, I've just been in fits of giggles. I had to share it. It's just so good. So someone, I think his name's Christopher, shared a video with me. I think it's on his profile, and it's a woman, and she just flashes a picture, and she's being interviewed by this guy, and she's got a phone there, and on the phone is this photograph, and she says, "Oh," and then the music in the background, "I am an African queen, da 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 da," and then she gets her phone and flashes it in front, and she says, "I just want the man who got me pregnant to take responsibility for getting me pregnant and paying child support like he should, you know." And I thought, this is exactly what I've been saying. She was so funny. Oh, and she just said everything I've been saying. You see, I actually think, that's why I think, if a guy, is going to get you pregnant, then he should be responsible for that child. If he has a child with anybody, with what's between his legs, then he should not be allowed to go off and remarry or anything unless he has provided for those children and also for the mother. Not just financial support, but emotional support and physical support. And he should be vetted as well to make sure that he is kind to his ex-wife. If he doesn't want the wife anymore, then he should be kind and provide. Like, what I think is that there's lots of men who have babies with women, and this they use as a license to abuse women, abuse them, and also abuse the children. And it's not funny to watch. I can tell you, when I had children and there was no one around, and I had to bring these two children up, it was hard because I didn't have a husband and I didn't have a family around me to support me. So a lot of it I muddled through, and I got a lot of things wrong. But, where other people would have had the support of a family or an ex-husband who was supportive, then you could afford to have the odd fumble and fall and fail. But with me, I couldn't. And from my point of view, I just think, there's, it's all very well paying a little bit of money towards the children and the upkeep, but that's just not enough. Because if you have a child with a woman, you're taking 20 years, 20 of her best years away from her. And that little bit of money doesn't in any way cover all of the extra work that woman now has to do, all because you want to go and stick your dick in some other woman. That's what I think. Sorry to be so sort of, blunt, but that's what I think. If a man wants to have a child with a woman, then he should be held liable, and he should not be allowed to buy a house or get married again until he has financially provided for the woman that he got pregnant, and he has also provided emotional support and physical support for that woman. In the terms of, if you're not going to be an acting father, then you need to pay somebody to replace that role in the woman and the children's lives, the family. If you're not going to be a daddy and you're not going to be a husband, then there needs to be somebody else that takes that role, and whether that's a paid-for nanny, live-in nanny, I don't know. But this is what I think. And I've always thought this. I think it should be a criminal offense to get a woman pregnant and leave her. That's what I think. I've also noticed there's a lot of men. They want children. Yeah, they do, eh? And they go out with women and they say, hey, you know, I really want a child with you. I'm in love with you, diddly dum. We're going to get married. All this shakes and ass, you know, and all that. But then what they do, they don't marry the woman. They have a baby with the child. And then they leave the woman and the child so they can have a mini version of themselves. They like little boys, usually. So I've noticed. And then they go off and they get on with their lives. And they've got a child with a woman. And now the woman who's had a child with them probably only had that child with them so that she could have her happily ever after. Yeah. The fairy tale. But she didn't get the fairy tale. And now she's used goods. Right. And used goods never ever fetch the same value as new goods. You know what I'm saying? So if you've had a child with someone and you got little babies, there's no man that wants to settle with you. So what you get is a lot of players who want to play. They want to go and sleep with lots of women, but they want their cake and they want to eat it also. So they will go and have children with a woman, and then they'll sleep with lots of women as well. And then when they meet a woman that they think, oh, she's a little nicer than the mother of the children, I like what's between her legs better, or whatever, I'm going to leave my wife that I've had children with, and I'm going to go with this woman now. This should be a crime. And I think, like I say, by doing this, you are robbing someone of their destiny, their future, and you're robbing the children of happiness. Because these players that go and do this, they have children that they don't care about. And they do it for a power trip. They only do it because they want to experience being a dad. They want to be a dad, but they don't want the role of being a dad. They don't want the responsibility of being a dad. They don't want the financial liability of being a dad. So what they do is they mitigate and they go, oh, you know, this is not what I like. Oh dear, no, bye. See, I don't like you anymore. And then when the children visit, he'll say, yeah, she just didn't give me enough cuddles and kisses and things, so I got a new lady. No, evil, evil, evil. And you know, when Jesus was here, and there was the woman, and they were ready to start stoning her to death because she slept with men for money. I always think about this woman. She had children to bring up and support. And the only reason she was sleeping with people for money was because the men that made her pregnant didn't want to stand up for their responsibility as men and fathers. And I think that in general, as a world, all the men have lost their balls. Like, they don't seem to be masculine and manly and protective over their families, their wives, and their children. I don't know why. Like, they really want to have babies and they really want to have sex, but they don't want a relationship and they don't want the responsibility and they don't want to settle down. They want a bit of freedom and a bit of this and a bit of that. They want to sniff all the flowers, but they don't want the responsibility of bringing up the children of being the husband. Now, you will get women, all right, in England anyway, who want to have children, and they don't really care if they're married or not, because they're quite happy. I mean, I know a lady, and I think she popped out something like 7 or 8 children from different daddies. Yeah. She's a very pretty lady. Very pretty. Whenever I see her, I think, oh, you're so pretty. She's got lots of little babies to care for. Every time I see her, she's got a new baby. Buying a new pram. And I think to myself, well, I wonder how she manages without a daddy, you know. She's always on her own. And I feel sorry for her. But maybe this is what she wants, you know. And I think she's a very, very good-looking lady. In fact, I think she could be easily a Hollywood actress. She's that good-looking. And I think, well, it's just such a shame, you know. It makes me feel bad for her. But then I don't know her situation. And these are the things that go through my mind. So, I think, as I say, that people, when they do these sort of things, you're not just playing with a woman and getting her pregnant. You're playing with little children's lives. And the children don't actually belong to you. They belong to God. And your caregivers only, really. That's why you're called parents. Because you're parenting. Parenting. As in you're acting as parents. You're renting. Mama and Papa renting. Because the real father is God. And it's a big responsibility. One that I did not do very well at doing, I will be honest. Bringing up my children by myself was a struggle. And I felt that I could do both things. I could run my businesses, I could renovate houses, and I could bring up children. Because I didn't have anyone else with me. And I was now a single mother. And I tried to have my cake and eat it. Because someone robbed me, I believe, that's how I feel, of my happy ever after. My family. But also of my innocence. Of my femininity. My natural born instinct to be a mother. To be that lovely woman baking the cakes at home. Cooking the curries. Making pizzas. Picking up the children from school. Taking them swimming. Not worrying so much because I've got a husband who is the caretaker. Taking care of his family. And is responsible. And he goes off and does the work. And she is the cook or the whatever at the house. You know, whatever. Or she works as well. But either way, the roles are shared. And I found in a lot of ways I lost my identity by being a single mother. How? Well, I had to be dad and I had to be mum. And I found that really hard. I also found it really hard that in a lot of situations I didn't really know which way to go and how to behave and how to conduct myself as both mother and father. Not only in the home, but in the workplace and in everyday life. In social gatherings, in my environment, picking up the children from school. Even simple tasks like going shopping with the children was quite alien. Not having that unity, that support, that family clique that everybody wants. I believe everybody wants that. I think they sell us the fairy tale in the movies that this is the happy ever after. You'll meet a man, you'll have children, and you'll have your 2 children, and it'll be all great, and everything will be fantastic. But actually, it's different to that. what happens is the men get you pregnant, then if they stay with you, then they're sleeping around, or and if they're not, then they're abusers, they're drunkards, or whatever, I don't know. And this does happen the other way around as well. It does. And so there's mental abuse and physical abuse and all of those things that happen. And that's why sometimes people have to leave one another. I understand this. But again, if you're going to have children, then I think you should stand up for that responsibility and put your money where your mouth is, or where your willy is. In fact, I was talking to my daughter earlier about this. I said some men, I think, they look down between their pants and they go, that's my head there. And basically, I need to sort of go, hey, that's not your head. Smack the damn dick really hard. Bang! And then smack the head really hard. Bang! And say, your head is here on top of your shoulders. Stop thinking with your dick between your legs. Because there's so many men that don't think twice about leaving their wife or leaving the girl with a baby and going off and having a great old time. There's a lot of players, there really is. And they seem to get it's a real sort of have a go day. Sorry, if you're a man, but I'm just giving my perspective. And they really they don't seem to get a full grasp of what they're doing. And they get a power trip out of it as well. Having power over someone's life. And this is something else I was talking about. You know, that there are men and they seem to get a power trip out of controlling a woman. And having her submitting everything, submitting to him. Let me tell you something, I've got a problem with that. I think that it should be a mutual agreement. And I don't think that men should take this and have power over a woman like this. I think it's wrong. Because I think it's an ego trip as well. And what I've noticed is a lot of these men, if they've got power over a woman they've got, then they want to have power over other women that they know. And I know a few men like this. And they're cocky, and they're rude, and they're disrespectful. And it's like they get a kick out of it. Out of controlling and manipulating, bitching and being nasty and putting people down and making fun of people. In fact, it happened to me today with someone I know. And I don't want to go into that. But let's just put it this way. The guy humiliated himself. And that's the thing. When I meet a person and I find out about them, I remember, after I got divorced, I really wanted to try and meet someone to be a father figure to the children. And I'd think to myself, God, this is a lovely guy. He's single. He seems so lovely. Why is he single? He seems so nice. And then they'd do one thing. And then I go, that's why they're single. That's why. Yeah. Out you go, bye. Yeah, really busy now. Gotta go. But yeah, I'll catch you soon. Bye. Oh, no. Never want to see them again. Bye. But yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly what makes me tick either. And there are things that happen sometimes that surprise even myself. I guess you could say I didn't really know myself until I read the good book, the Bible. And when I read the good book, then I started to really realize that I wasn't the person I thought I was, and that I didn't like who I was, and that God was doing some work already in me as I was reading the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. It's like I was looking in a mirror, not without rose-tinted glasses. Very amazing. And God gives you a whole new perspective on you, eh? And he shows you your flaws, but in a nice way. But he shows you a better version of you that he wants from you. But again, I think because they've taken God out of the schools and they've taken him out of the curriculum and out of the governments, and they just don't really believe that God's real, then they have no fear of God or of authority as well. So I noticed, like, I have people who mock me because I believe in Jesus, you know. Like today, this chap was mocking me. Oh, Jesus, please help me. I said, yeah, you be careful you don't slip and fall and break your fucking neck. Mocking Jesus. But anyway, you know, this is going to happen. You got to remember that all of God's children down here, they don't know who they are. They're all hunted. They're all ridiculed. The Christian people are racially discriminated against. And actively, they are hunted to be destroyed. They will pay actors to come into to the supermarkets, not supermarkets, shopping centers, to make the place look busy. They will pay for actors to pretend to be in a war. Is it that hard for you to think that they will pay people to come in and have a child with you and abandon you so that you've got children to bring up? Not that hard, really, is it? But like I say, that's what I think. And it's just after watching that video, I had such a giggle at it, I thought I have to talk about that. Because I would love to be able to be a woman and just relax and be my feminine self without having to have more balls than a man, without having to stand up for myself because there's no man with any balls around me to do that. Men are not quick to defend a woman and protect the woman. In fact, it seems like the war that we are having now is actually between men and women. I think. I might be wrong. If there are any happy couples out there, congratulations. Wow. Very amazing. But I think because God has been taken out, it's very hard. Very hard indeed. I just wanted to share my thoughts with you today on parenting and men who have babies with women. And the other thing I've noticed is that men actually become jealous of independent women. They also become quite angry when a woman rejects them, especially a single independent woman. They want to control that woman and destroy her life. If they can't have her, then no one can, and we'll destroy you, you know, just to show you that we can. That's what's happened to me anyway. They get jealous of God as well. It's interesting. Jealous of God. That's so interesting, I think, as well. Let me know what you think, okay? All right. As you know, I always try and tell you what I think about everything. I think that I'm not the only one thinking this way. Oh, because I've been talking to some other women about it. And be nice to have your feedback. All right. And if you want me to do a live show or come and interview you or anything like this, just let me know. And I will attempt to do a live show or a live broadcast of some kind. It's Ayesha from God FM, and if you want to find me, you can find me on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Chrome, YouTube, Apple, X, as well as TikTok and Telegram as God FM News, God FM New, God FM Radio, God FM Group, and God FM Media. You can email me admin@godfm.org.uk, and you can WhatsApp me +44 777 35 77788. Have an amazing day. It's Ayesha from God FM. Take care.